Shea Lafiani in my wonderful home. I have my wonderful guest, Iya Ebun, who needs no introduction, but I will allow her to introduce herself.
Ashe, Adukwe, Kuasan. We have a multitude of hats that we're growing through after 6 decades of living on the planet, and of course, Iya Ebun, we thank you so very much, because we say out of all the titles that we wear, of course, being the mother of Ebun and mother of a gift, my youngest Allegra daughter, first and foremost. We're known to many different tribes. Likely, with the popularity of Facebook, a lot of people look and see the face and go, oh, that's Sangoma. So the kindred of Sangoma is our business. It's what we do, and moving around to do the work of cultural repair, to continue the legacy of our godfather in creating a restoration of African culture among our people. Being the carrier of Cherokee blood, we find ourselves in a lot of tribes with Native American teachings. We used to just be in that world of summer camps and young people, and now that teaching is spread to adult wilderness education for the Year of Coyote and Wild Intelligent programs in Athens, Georgia. So in a nutshell, we have a lot of sacred teachings that we're very, very, very honored and humbled by the fact that our elders taught it to us, and now we have the opportunity to go in the woods and be really comfortable. Absolutely. You know, 14 years of being a Girl Scout paid off, and that's what we do. We spend a lot of time in the woods around campfires teaching. Yes.
So please, my ultimate question, tell me how you fell in love with the culture. What brought you to the culture?
You know, I having had, again, a mature time in life to think about things like that, love and being in love. As we were pondering this question, I thought, you know I was amazed, and I know I was absolutely awestruck at my first gaze at a little African hut and a light-skinned man named Baba in the low country of South Carolina. But I was trying to really connect at that moment in my memory as to whether or not that it was love at first sight, if that in fact was, and I have to say yes, and I have to say what trips us over into that place where we fall in love. And I think in almost every case, people desperately alone, people seeking relationship, partnership, when that happens, that's why you speak of a great fall. And I think I was sharing with you last night how up to that point, days that people in this time have no idea to remember. You can go in any school in America now and see all multicolored children and Chinese children and all like that. But in my school, we only had Dick and Jane and Spot, and they were all white. And that was anywhere you went.
Absolutely.
And that was whether you were in the library or you were in a special class or whatever. And so for me to really seek out what I felt my heart beating about, which was who are the other people like me, where are they, why are there no books for them, and to have to go and dig that out and carry the 12 or 14 books home. My mother used to look at me and just go, child, you're going to have a hunched over bag all of the books you carry and you read, but that's what I would do. So that moment for me, in the one summer, I guess, 1969, at the height of integration in the South, for my auntie to say, I want you all to go over here and meet Baba. And me almost never having heard the word Baba, for number one, certainly would not have related it to a man of our founder and our king's stature in a hut with 5 children running around naked. And all this African clothes, and to say I was awestruck and in love at the same time, I hope answers your question. I was. That was in 1969. So.
It does. And here we are in 2015, decades from that time. What keeps you there? What keeps you in this divine romance?
I wish I could really offer that in words, you know, but it's a hard place to go inside, to be quite honest with you. I know where it is, and I know where it lives, and I know that connection for me. But in the work we do as priests and cultural educators, I find that it doesn't live in everyone. I know that to be true. It does not live in everyone. And if it does, we'll say the African genes or the African cells that of course come down in the bloodline. If it does, it is so dormant.
Yes.
It is so dormant that it takes lots of things, lots of parts, lots of memories and relationships and all of that. But for me, beloved, for me, I could see it even when I was a child in a Christian church. I could see it with an old mother shouting. I could see it when drums were being played. I saw what I fell in love with that day, and I knew that was me, period. Me, there wasn't no questions after that part. And so for me to be a carrier, be awake and alive and in motion of anything as ancient as 8,000 years of history predating Christianity, that's a moi. I'm good with that. And so there's no stray of that. That's where I live, and I love that. I don't have to put that on, and in the movements of people, because of course, we were 3 minutes from being a Baptist preacher. We were up there with Kenneth Hagin, hands in the air, speaking in tongues, and it could have happened. Right. And so when people who were in that particular ministry of my life in that time in New Orleans saw that huge U-turn, they were like, well, wow, what happened? Why'd you leave Jesus? I said, I didn't leave anybody. Are you kidding me? I really didn't. Didn't your Bible tell you to study to show yourself approved? I thought I'd take that to the hill. So 7 Bibles later, and the Book of the Dead, and the Egyptian and the Dead Sea Scrolls, we did. Right. And it was just a matter of going to graduate school and going on to Jesus's teachers and going on, because our history tells us where the origins are. So every single day I just simply live to be the rise of that queendom again.
Absolutely.
You see, I don't hold particular malice against the slave traders or the people who took us into captivity, but again, it was a big blow to where we could have been. The people who built the pyramids, to where we could have been. And so for the hope that my 11 grandchildren that receive this inheritance, that get to look back like I look back at my wonderful ancestors and say, well, my grandmother walked that every day of her life. She just did. I think that means something. I think that impels something, not taking any away. We were talking about my grandmother and the 25 years and the gold watch. It doesn't take anything away from the era of the Negro or black people who dedicated themselves to furthering the education of their children or furthering the health of their children. I want to further the ancient culture of my children. That's just my mission here on the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do we speak to our young viewers that are out here that are experiencing our European society? How do we speak to the hearts of these young women and these young men to get them to come to a place of peace, to actually see this love, to actually fall in love, or shall we say have an encounter?
Yeah. One of my workshops that I do is called Tending Our Spiritual Gardens. And I try to take people into a place that's safe, number one, to talk about it, so that they do not feel accused, judged, or defensive. And much ago, back to Guess Who's Coming for Dinner, but at the pre-era of interracial relationships and marriages, now they're all the rage. But when it wasn't so acceptable, I remember wondering and praying about the children of those relationships, and wondering about our mulatto tribe, and understanding that they would have to be the embodiment of all that they carried. That they because a lot of them struggled, of course, and still do. Am I black? Am I white? Am I black? Am I white? What, And even now, the famous white mothers, Angelina and Madonna and all those that have the black babies. The fact of the matter is that if it were as simple as you growing a garden, would you just love the roses? Or do you also love daffodils? Do you also love the smell of other flowers? And so if our culture and our people think that it is such an inclusiveness or such a point of acceptance to the whole dominant culture, that we have to kill off and put into extinction a particular beautiful exotic flower that I consider the African being to be.
Yes.
My question is, are you going to be happy with beige? Are you going to be happy with the mutant flower in the middle?
Right.
Yeah. And so I try to give people a sense of that, because I have dear, dear, dear beloveds. I hope I'll get to watch this, of every color and of every nationality. And I make no difference, and they make no difference with me, because we are all intrigued by the ancient cultures of each other.
Yes.
We're not in fear of it. We're not baffled by it. We embrace it. I don't have to be less me in order to be in the company of you.
Right. Absolutely.
I don't need any of your light to shine. And so I'm not sure that's where all of the weaves and the bluest eyes and the false eyelashes are going now among our young people. But I would suggest to them that they have that question with themselves. They don't know us any answers, but eventually they will come to it. Because certainly when you have children and grandchildren on the earth, they're going to ask you everything. They're going to ask you everything. Why do you do everything? Why do you wear this? Why do you do everything? And so they should be prepared for those answers.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know another thing that I wanted to introduce, because I was so fascinated, I was so intrigued, and barely kept my eyes off of it all night. We know that. You have to tell me about the market. What started the market? Because they're woven with just such intricacy and love and
truly prayers.
And each one of those are different.
Yes.
Just like us, just like us all. What brought you to this moment?
This comes out of our work in the Earth Schools Rendezvous Gatherings, of which we are an instructor for, I guess, 5 or 6 of those throughout the southeast of the United States per year. And there, this would be nothing. You have people who make anything from knives to buckskin dresses to felt hats to all of those things. So a very dear friend of mine that is a co-instructor there, Nancy Basket, she's also a Cherokee. And people come to River Cane Rendezvous or the Piedmont Earth Skills Gatherings to learn how to make baskets. This is a very small sampling of the work that she does. She does sweetgrass baskets. These are pine straw and sweetgrass baskets. She does kudzu baskets. This woman has built a barn from kudzu, an actual barn. And she makes holiday cards out of the parchment paper of kudzu. She is an amazing woman in herself. So being busy as we are at these gatherings, a lot of times we don't get to sit in each other's face. And finally we had this fabulous gathering last summer at the Camp Daniel Boone, a women's wilderness weekend. And we had that space. I had enough space to say, I'm going to go sit at Nancy's knee and learn how to start it, because I knew if I could get the start of it, I would be off and running. And
absolutely.
Beloved, like a good book, like a page turner. I'm telling you, I got that, and the Cherokee in me just went away with it. And it is one of those things that you love. That's what you love about it, is that no two will be the same.
Absolutely.
That pine straw is all over the ground. You don't have a big expense budget there.
Right. We don't have to throw it away. We don't have to
throw it away. You know, and priests that have seen it love the divining trades. Another gentleman who teaches ancestral medicine, he was like, wow, think of the people who have their pets cremated and want to keep the ashes, or even if they wanted to bury them, this is sustainable. You can put it in the ground. It's going to melt in. It's pine straw. And I was like, wow, that's a lot of uses right there. Yeah. Besides things you and I would think about, like moving a hot pot to a surface.
Oh, absolutely.
And placemats. I mean, we would think, it's endless. It's endless. It's endless. People do furniture out of it. So I'm just getting started, is what I say.
And it's beautiful and it's extraordinary. And you also teach it, correct?
I do.
Because you taught my little ones.
Yep, I teach it.
Actually, how to weave, and that was fascinating. So where are you currently teaching?
Oh my goodness. This year is a whirlwind. As of February, the very first weekend, we'll be in Florida, in the Gainesville area, at the Florida Earth Skills Gathering. March is the Piedmont, North Carolina Earth Skills Gathering. April is the 30th anniversary of the granddaddy of Earth Skills, and that's up in Cherokee Farms in Lafayette, Georgia. So there's almost, just like Oyatunji has a festival every month, I almost have an Earth Skills event every month in a different area, and we always teach those there. We teach a lot of sacred activism, but we also teach a lot of hands-on tools about medicine wheels and dream catchers and things that you actually can use to push different energies certain ways as we walk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And of course, I want you to tell me the story.
Well, this is a beautiful story, and a lot